Hello everyone, hope you're all well and thanks very much for all the support with my videos. Today I want to speak about a few international events and how they're impacting us here in Ireland. And we'll start with the big news overnight was the debate that was held in Atlanta, Georgia between Donald Trump, Republican nominee, and Joe Biden, the incumbent 46th President of the United States, who's going for a second term in the November election. Following the debate, the words grotesque, unbelievable, bizarre and unprecedented spring to mind, because that's a much vaunted term in Ireland. Goo-boo, and this is what immediately springs to mind because it was a car crash interview. Over the last number of years, I've been speaking in many videos about Joe Biden, about the Biden White House. We've seen their involvement in the proxy war in Ukraine. We saw him last year when he came to Ireland, that he was lauded and feted. Huge attendance of a crowd of 25,000 I think in Ballina at the time, and there's been a huge cover-up in the last couple of years regarding his lack of cognitive awareness. And last night it came home to roost with him being wheeled out for this debate against Trump and looked completely all at sea. Now this is the person who's in charge of probably the most powerful country in the world, and it shows you what sort of cover-ups have been going on for the last number of years in terms of hiding them away from difficult questions, from debates. And this was a completely sanitised debate, well controlled, well orchestrated, and it was all at the request of the Democrats. And we know CNN is a Democratic party station and pushes their narrative every single time. And even the response from a lot of their analysts was to get Biden off the ticket for November and scrambling around looking now to get some form of replacement. Now this was remarkable because Biden also said during this, there was just some ludicrous statements for Biden as well. One was about his golf handicap. He said when he was vice president, he said he managed to get his handicap down to 6 when he was vice president. The top being the second most important person in the United States would lend him to being very busy. But no, his handicap dropped to 6 apparently, even though this was disputed by Donald Trump. He spoke about the war in Ukraine. Biden pushed this narrative that Putin will keep pushing on through the rest of Europe, unsubstantiated of course, and attacking NATO nations, which would trigger Article 5. Didn't speak about peace, didn't speak about diplomacy, didn't speak about any real initiatives. Trump said he would be pushing for peace in Ukraine, and he said it wouldn't have happened if he was president. So it was a bit of a to and fro, but a lot of the answers were pretty unclear, to put it very, very mildly, by Joe Biden. And it shows you what sort of state the world is in when you see two leaders going head to head, millionaire leaders. Many of them are completely out of touch with reality, and in particular wheeling out Biden for this. So they're going to be scrambling for the next number of months, deciding who they're going to be running on the ticket. If they're going to replace Biden, is it going to be Gavin Newsom, whose own approval rating is less than 50% I think in California? Some other candidates were mentioned, Kamala Harris, that's not going to happen. And Michelle Obama was even mentioned, which I just find off the wall to what's going on with this chaotic presidential race. When you think is pushing us on the verge of World War III, and this chaos is going to continue now, a charade for the next number of weeks and months. But let's see what happens in the next period of time. I said it last year in a video that I don't think he'd make the starting race, and I still don't think it's going to happen. But again, we'll wait and see how that story develops. But again, it is very serious because so many proxy wars have been run. We've seen the barbaric war in Ukraine. Well over 500,000 have been killed. Huge amount of money have been spent, and we see the implications of that across Europe and across Ireland in particular. Now, Simon Harris over the last number of days was at the European Council meeting, and of course he was talking about the narrative to push Ukraine as a member of the European Union, and he also said the usual trotted out nonsense, which means as long as it takes, which means that they're going to keep supporting Ukraine as long as it takes, whatever the hell that means. But they're going to keep sending more money for more weapons, more arms, more military-industrial complex, eroding Irish neutrality, and driving us towards NATO and driving us towards a European military union, European army, as he try and aim towards a confrontation with Russia. And he also spoke about competitiveness. Well, he worked on that pretty well with his cheap labour, I think, getting it in through the immigration chaos that's been created in Ireland. And he also spoke about the single market, the famous single market, and which profits the super rich, big corporations, all at their expense. And he said he hopes that it's going to work for everyone. Well, it hasn't worked for everyone, Simon, despite what your spin narrative is trying to claim. And at the same time, he's been pushing the presidency of Ursula von der Leyen, another absolutely out of touch, war crazed fanatic in the European Union. And she's been pushed forward as the new president, or reappointed rather, president of the European Commission. Now there is pressure coming on those Fianna Fáil MEPs by Simon Harris, Taoiseach and Fine Gael leader, to join forces and push them into this position of power and go back on what they said in the election. But when the Fianna Fáil ever stand over any election promises, they've continually sold out the Irish people. So anybody who supports them, I think, is completely either has Stockholm syndrome maybe, and stuck in their ideology to support Fianna Fáil, another failed party that should be consigned to the dustbin of history. But of course, von der Leyen has her own trials and tribulations with the European Public Prosecutions Officer about her COVID vaccines, deals with Albert Bourla, the CEO of Pfizer, and those text messages for that multi-billion-dollar deal. Obviously around Gaza, with the support of Israel as well, emblazoning the Israeli flag across European buildings, and paying her visit to support Israel unconditionally in the continuing war in the Middle East and the war in Ukraine. She said she wanted to increase defence spending over the next 10 years and spend upwards of €200 billion, and that's going to be you and ours public money to fund this war and fund this so-called military industrial complex and so-called defence. And for as long as it takes, and it is essential to keep this going, she said. And of course in the economic picture as well, we've seen the economic disaster and fallout in Europe, with more and more people struggling because of the neoliberal policies we see here in Ireland, and it's much vaunted with our homeless and housing crisis and many more crises as well. And of course she's going to run into a highly paid job for the next 5 years, unelected, unaccountable leader of the European Union. Now this is what Simon Harris has been pushing forward, and probably bowed down when he came up with the result of the recent vote on the Migration Pact, which a lot of people have said flies in the face of Irish constitutionality. And there is an argument for a constitutional challenge under Article 15.4.1, which states that the Oireachtas should not enact any law which is repugnant to the Constitution. And the next article would state that beyond that it would be declared invalid. But let's see how this develops over the next period of time as it's passed through the Senate and then left to the President Michael D. Higgins to sign into law. Whether he's going to refer that to the Supreme Court, we'll wait and see, but don't hold your breath on that one, because we all know they're fully signed up members of the political establishment. So the world is in a pretty dark place at the moment for what's going on. We saw the debates last night, we see what's happening with Harris on his trip to Brussels, von der Leyen pushing more war, and more than ever the world needs peace, and especially in Ireland, in trying to erode our neutrality, not to mention the sanctions and the economic implications sanctions have had on Europe and Ireland in particular in terms of our sky high energy costs and all these other issues as well, which is who's it benefiting? Benefiting big corporations who hammer us time and time again, who these people serve. So we need to bring power back to our society to put the needs of people first and really get a society that works for everyone, not the one that Simon Harris says works for everyone. More spin and nonsense and absolute garbage coming out of Harris. But I want to show you a little bit of local history here as well, which is lovely to see. This lovely bridge, Classon's Bridge here. This is under the Dodder in Milltown, the Dropping Well pub. And this bridge up here was built in 1928, this part of the bridge. But there was a mill along here as well. And this bridge was built back in the end of the 18th century. Some of that original feature work there. Beautiful. Before then there was a ford where the people would cross, and much important part of the local area. Just show you that little part there. Classon's Bridge. John Classon was the owner of the mill up here at Milltown, coincidentally. So let's keep speaking out. Speak out against what's going on in society. Speak up and stand up for our sovereignty, stand up against the wars, stand up for Irish neutrality, and especially with these absolute warmongers, psychopaths at the top of society. They're criminal classes, and that's what they are. Instead of standing up for the needs of ordinary people. So thanks for the support. Please press subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'm very grateful for all the messages, the comments, and please comment and share my videos, and I really appreciate it. And thanks to people who have subscribed, because it's grown very well over the last number of months. So keep it going and keep getting the message out to more and more people, but use your own voice to speak out also as well. And thanks a lot for the support. And from Dublin today, as the sun just comes in, take care. I'll talk to you all soon. Slán. Bye bye.